Look at his hair. Look at Doug's hair now.
He needs a hat.
That's just messed up. He looks like a wild man.
He needs a hat. We don't need to be live yet, this microphone.
10:19 Saturday night.
3-minute warning.
I just know lots of different things. There's a little variety. Yeah. Spice the life.
Okay, it's 6 o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order. Rob, call the roll, please.
Ms. Least.
Here.
Mrs. Sweet.
Here.
Mr. Bear.
Here.
Mr. Whitaker.
Here.
Mr. DeVoli.
Here.
Mr. Hanna.
Here.
And we have all members present. Please join me in pledging allegiance to our flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Was not mine. We had music to it this time.
Soundtrack.
I've never had that before. But
Never had that one before. Additions to our agenda this evening? Okay, let's go into approval of the minutes from the March 10th, 2026 meeting. Mr. Hanna, thank you for running that meeting for me while I was out of town.
very welcome.
If the council is satisfied with the contents, then I'd entertain a motion and a second to approve as presented.
So moved. Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Sweet.
Yes.
Mr. Bear.
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker.
Yes.
Mr. DeVoli.
Yes.
Mr. Hanna.
Yes.
Ms. Least.
Yes.
And those minutes are approved as presented. Financial report. Rob, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Sure. So the financial report for the month of February, everything is reconciled, both water and the general ledger. So our fund balances at month end are general fund, $141,991.03. Street fund, $41,197.02. Going down to the police levy fund, $27,114.36. The water operating account, or fund, $415,972.86. Total of all funds at month end, $747,937.12. Nothing particular of note in the month of February to discuss, but I will tell you that this past week we did get our first half real estate tax settlement, so our cash balances are much improved. I don't have those reconciled yet, so I can't tell you exactly what the split is, but the total deposit into the village treasury was a little over $260,000. So the bulk of that will go into the police levy fund, which is good because you can see what that balance is, but there is a goodly portion that goes into the general fund as well. one from the operating levy that we do keep on the books, plus some inside millage that comes in as well.
And the goal is always to get through the first 3 months until we get that first half of real estate taxes. So.
And to Mr. Franklin's credit, we made it, so good deal.
Good job.
He's heard me harp on that a couple times about needing to get through to March, but I can answer any questions anybody has about the February financials. But
So the March reports will show those receipts.
the March reports was those receipts.
Awesome.
And so we receive a net amount, but we have to receipt the gross, and then we do a memo expenditure line because the county does keep some of the money for those levies. So it's not so what you see on the duplicate and what you get on the settlement statement doesn't equal the amount that comes into the treasury. We have to do a little bit of math.
And there's a certain percentage that they withhold
Yes.
for collection
Yep.
purposes. Is that, just real quick, not to get too detailed, is that consistent throughout the state of Ohio? Is that what every county auditor's office?
Yeah, sure. So that rate is set by the Ohio Department of Taxation.
Gotcha. Okay. Very good.
I'll move that we accept the bank reconciliation for February as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Bear.
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker.
Yes.
Mr. DeVoli.
Yes.
Mr. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Least.
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet.
Yes. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you. Before anything else from me, last week our last meeting I did say that we had the liquor permit application for the Balmoral Tea House. That is at 174 East Main Street is the property address that they're requesting. That was a question last time. We have through April 3rd, if anyone would have an objection to file that with the Department of Commerce. And along that line, we received another notice from the Department of Commerce that it is time for the annual renewal of all retail liquor permits. And we have until April 10th, if anyone would have any objection to file those.
Do we know how many we have in the village?
Just gonna ask that.
We can look. We don't get a
That-
listing on this, but there is a
Okay,
website that you
no
can
problem.
go. Actually, anybody can go to the website and look up any municipality or any service area, and you can find which ones are valid.
And just to comment on that, I had a citizen a few years ago, maybe a couple, that asked why we would vote for the approval of a liquor license or whatever. The village does not vote for the approval. These have already been established somewhere. Changes can come about, correct me if I'm not right here, upon voter approval, not village council approval, potentially, like for Sunday sales.
Yeah, so you can do local
Yeah.
options, which would be on the ballot.
Yes.
Establishment could say, hey, I want to do X, Y, or Z. Municipalities are able to do like historic districts within their boundaries, and you can set up, and there are special liquor permits that are available for that. You'll see some communities that have DORA, like the outdoor recreation area, that you can establish, and there are some set aside for that, but the village doesn't have anything like that.
But, and we don't vote to approve a liquor, and that was what the question was, why did we approve that? We don't do that. That's,
The village is able to place an objection as the village, but that is not determinant. I mean, that wouldn't necessarily bar anybody from having one. It would just be something that the Department of Commerce takes into consideration when they are reviewing the application and for renewal.
and we did one time, and the evidence to not issue that liquor permit, license, whatever, from the control board has to be very, very good, because we had a hearing with the liquor control board, and it wasn't, you have to have a lot of evidence that permit should not be issued. So.
So it's really on there just in case we have a major issue? Is that-
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Fact-based, very substantial.
And I think it provides municipalities an opportunity to provide the controlling board and the Department of Commerce evidence that there is a problem that they may not
Absolutely.
have otherwise. So,
Any other financial
but I am on
items?
record as having told you guys that you have the ability to object to anything
All right.
by said dates.
Okay, well, let's go into the topic of the police levy renewal, and I've asked Mr. Storm to provide some factual information to the council, to residents. This is a 2.5 mil levy, and I think it's important that we get out to obviously it's important we get out to the residents. This is not a a new tax. This is a renewal of an existing, but I'm going to stop there. Rob, I'm going to turn it over to you, and I know the council is going to want to enter into some discussion as well.
Sure. So I had hoped to be able to project this onto the screens, but we didn't get that done in time. So you have some charts in front of you. I wanted to give you a little bit of history of just where the department has been funding-wise and expenditure-wise the last couple of years. And so the first line chart shows the orange line is the amount of the police department that is funded from the general fund. The blue is what's coming from the police fund, and the gray is the sum of those two. So that just is a visual representation of how that line is getting closer together. How the bulk of police funding until this year and last came from levy proceeds. In 2023, we still had 3 police levies on the books, and the 24 was the last year that we had 3. So we were receiving $353,150 in property tax levies to fund the police department, solely going to the police department. Last year was the first year that we only were collecting for 2, and our collections last year were $239,410. So it's about $115,000 shortfall from what we had been before. So we are now averaging, right around $240,000 between 2 tax levies that are both originally at 2.5 mils. They bring in a little bit different because of the years they came on. The one we're asking to renew brings in about 116, and the other brings in around 124 and some change. So they're similar, just the effective rates now are in the low 2s because of the property value increases. So it's important to know that on all the levies the village has, the collections do not increase based on increases in valuation. Those levies only bring in what they brought in the first year, and that will be the case
As long as they're renewed.
As long as they are renewed under Ohio law the way that it stands. So there is no increased collections for the police department based on increases in property values. So as I say, we're short from where we were about $115,000. So if we didn't get this levy, if the levy is not renewed, our collections for the police department next year would be about $124,000. As opposed to the $240 that we received this year, as opposed to the $350 plus that we received prior. We had healthy fund balances. We'll go to the next chart first before we do fund balances. This is just a visual representation of the composition of the general fund expenses. Now, 2026, these are appropriations. I don't have actual numbers till the end of the year, but you get the gist. And you can see how the blue line has steadily gotten quite a bit larger, and the orange line has stayed the same, or within certain bounds. So police general fund appropriations have increased from, in 2023, we had $98,632 for the police out of the general fund. In 2026, we've budgeted $175,600 for police. So a little over $75,000 increase out of a general fund budget that isn't that great. So we had a total of general fund appropriations in 2023 for all general fund appropriations were $299,712, and in 2026 it's $416,000. So that's a $116,000 increase, $75,000 of which is because the police is coming more and more out of the general fund than it had in the past. If you go to the last chart that I have, that blue line represents the police levy revenue that comes in, and you can see it's steady, and then the levy fell off, and it's steady again at 2. And if this one falls off, it will go down to $124,000. I think what is concerning to all of us are the next two. And these are our cash carryover balances in the general fund and in the police fund at year end. So we had healthy carryover balances in the police levy fund in particular that have allowed us to carry on appropriation levels that are relatively level over the past 5 years. If you remember that first chart, that first line that shows total police appropriations, pretty steady. It was just how we divided up how we were paying for it. We ended 2023 with $238,000 cash in the police levy fund. We are projected to end 2026 with $22,000. So, eating over $200,000, deficit spending in the police budget since 2023, and next year, we would eat up our carryover even with passing a police levy. So, the general fund will continue to need to support police services at the level that they are. But the general fund can't do that in perpetuity either. So in 2023, we ended with $191,000 cash balance in general fund. We did well the next year. In 24, we ended the year with $252,000. But we're projected to end this year at $98,000. So over 2 years, that's $150,000 eating into the general fund carryover. Now, this is assuming that we expend everything that we've appropriated for the year. And that doesn't ever happen. So, that number hopefully will be a little bit larger. But we are year on end eating into the carryover balances that we have. So at the end of 2026, assuming we expend everything that is appropriated, we will have $22,000 left in the police levy fund and $98,000 left in the general fund. Those two combined would still be less than what we would lose if the levy's not passed. So there would have to be changes in operations, both in the police department and in the general fund budget as a whole. So the police levy is an important part of being able to operate the way that we do. It has been the bulk of the funding up until this point and would need to continue to be. But we are not in the position to transfer police operations into the general fund for any extended period of time. That's why the levy is important to have, because it allows us that option.
Those levy monies that are collected from the 2.5 mills that we have, what specifically can they be used on and what can they not be used on?
So it is pretty specific to the operations of a police department itself. It allows us to pay salaries, both for full-time and part-time, plus ancillary items. We can pay for the insurance of officers. We are able specifically to pay for their pension requirements. Our portion that we kicked in for both police and fire and our part-time officers, we pay into the Ohio OPERS for them, like the rest of us do. We can buy equipment. We can buy cruisers. We're able to pay the bills to maintain this side of the building. So the cell phone service, the utilities that are down there, we're able to pay those bills. All the items that the department needs are able to be paid out of there. Our problem right now is because of how the funding has gone down and the carryover has gone down, we are not paying for any of those things out of the police levy this year. The police levy fund is going towards salaries and bennies this year. So in the past, I've been able to make some of the cruiser payments out of the police fund and some of the workman's comp payments out of there as well. Now, we were lucky that we had some money at the end of last year, and we were able to pay the 2026 BWC bill right at the end of the year with money that we had in 2025. So that gives us a little bit of breathing room to technically January of 27 when the bill will come due again.
Got it.
So those things are able to be paid out of there as well. We can't pay other entities to do things for us from it. We can't
Contract with other
out of that.
agencies.
No, it is for the village of Enon specifically to operate a police department.
Thank you for clarifying that. So when we lost the third levy, that equated to a full-time position. It sounds like if this levy is not renewed, we would lose another full-time position,
Yes.
potentially.
We would not be able to pay more than one full-time position out of the levy fund. Right now, we're paying for two people and some
Right.
change. If we lost one, we would be down to only being able to pay for one full-time person out of the levy fund.
So
and nothing
renewing
else.
the levy, we could maintain 3 full-time between the levy and the general fund. If we don't get that renewed, that would cut another full-time position, is what you're saying.
It would cut a full-time position right off the bat.
Okay. And I understand, we all understand the flavor of people and taxes. Nobody likes them, but for the village of Enon, we're pretty unique in the fact that we don't have an income tax here. We have always relied on voter approval for services, hoping that they liked the services they were being provided, and hence vote for a property tax versus the village looking at the income tax route. I know that's a possibility. I don't know that anybody sitting up here likes that idea, but for the village of Enon, could we impose an income tax?
So by law, municipalities are able to impose a 1% earned income tax without going to the voters.
1%?
1%. Anything above that